Welcome to the Platinum Agent Podcast, where gold is just the beginning. I'm Renee Ruth, top producing agent, global real estate educator, and, believe it or not, a 2025 Grammy nominee. But today I'm here to help you hit the highest level in real estate. This is the Agent to Agent podcast designed to help you grow, scale, and reach platinum status in your business. Expect powerful strategies, expert insights, and real conversations about what it takes to dominate in real estate. And of course, I'm not doing this alone. My co-host Joshua is here too. He may not talk much, he is a dog after all, but he's got a nose for success and a talent for keeping me on track. So if you're ready to stop playing small and start thinking bigger, hit that subscribe button and let's go platinum together. Welcome to Platinum Agent Podcast. My name is Renee Ruth. I'm your host, and today I'm excited to introduce Karen Cooper. She is a highly respected agent that is just north of where I live in Virginia. And really even more interesting is that her group is called Platinum Group Real Estate. So she's a top performing agent in Nova. She's got tons of experience and expertise. And today she's going to bring that to you listening so that you can learn strategic approaches to buying and selling and learn how to become a top producer as well. Welcome, Karen. It's so nice to meet you.
Oh my gosh, Renee, that was an amazing intro. So thank you so much. And I love the little synchronicities, right? Platinum agent, platinum group. We're in the right place this morning.
Gold isn't enough.
Yeah, that's right.
To go for platinum. Yeah, I love it too. So I always ask everybody that comes in because everyone's got such a cool story. And I've said this on other podcasts, I don't meet a lot of agents that are like, yeah, in high school, all I dreamed about was being a real estate agent. That's almost never the story.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
share with everyone, how did you become an agent? We'll get into how you became top producing after, but how did you get into this?
Yeah, I usually say it was by accident, but of course there are no accidents or coincidences. And I was getting laid off from the pharmaceutical industry. So I was never in sales. I was in project management and market research. And this was actually going to be my second layoff in the industry. And so I come to this sort of crossroads where I realized, and this is 23 years ago, right? And so I realized that I either needed to relocate to where the hub and the companies I was working with were based up north in New Jersey, or I needed to do something different. And it just so happened that at the time, my then fiance, now husband, and I were buying and selling homes for sale by owner. And I was the person that everyone in the process was looking to. So I was the one that got the blank contract from the title company, and I was filling it out, and I'm in the newspaper looking for comps, because back then we didn't have access to things like Zillow and Realtor.com. And so I was like, gosh, maybe let's try this real estate thing. That sounded like fun. And that is literally how I started 23 years ago.
That's incredible. 23 years ago. Okay, so share with us the evolution of this then. And it's funny because I actually was made redundant from my teaching position when I jumped full-time into real estate. So I understand that.
Yep.
Oh, wow, that door just slammed in my face.
Yes. Which is
Yeah.
actually the biggest blessing though, right? Because
It is.
sometimes we have to be really pushed in order to
Yep.
make those moves. So
I think great success comes from a big shove too.
totally,
Yeah. So
totally.
yeah, share how it's evolved. I'm curious to know what you've done in all those years to
Yeah. Yeah, I love the evolution story. So I like to say I've done everything that there is to do in the industry. I started out on one of those really traditional rainmaker teams and really built my business there. I learned so much, built my foundation. And then from there, I've been a solo agent. I spent some time as a managing broker. I've been a team leader now for the past 10 years. I am not in personal production anymore. I shouldn't say that. I still produce. I produce a lot of business, over 12 million closed and pending so far this year, but it's all served by my team members. So I'm very passionate about prospecting and production and those sorts of things. And then 11 years ago, I started a community called Empowering Women in Real Estate, which now has over 39,000 women in the real estate industry all across the country. We have a podcast, we have a coaching program, we have monthly meetups. We're getting ready to do our big conference this fall, and it's my passion project.
I didn't even know about that. That's amazing. I hope you have links that we can use, right? In the end of this. Yes, we do.
Oh, yes.
Amazing.
All the
Yeah.
links. Yes.
Amazing. Okay. So so something that's very interesting about what you did is that you were able to generate significant sales without personally serving in every transaction. Can you
Yes.
share about that?
Yeah, so it's been about 6 years now since I have been personally serving business myself. And really that started because we were at a point with our real estate team. I have a business partner, and one of us really needed to pull out of production to focus on our team, right? Because having a team is a second full-time job, and we had grown to such a degree that we knew that one of us really needed to do that. And so because I had the managing broker experience, we made that decision. Also, because I had the managing broker experience, I learned what I needed to do in order to be able to have a long-term sustainable business without serving the business myself. When I was the managing broker, I was not allowed to sell, and I basically stopped all of my prospecting. I wasn't present, I wasn't marketing, I wasn't doing anything because I couldn't sell. And my business basically shut down. And I was only in that role for 2.5 years. I went from generating hundreds of leads every year to literally nothing. No calls were coming in. And so I knew that in order to do this time, I needed to keep up that prospecting habit. And so that's what I've done. I have a system that I have followed for years. It's part of what I do. It's how I start my week every week. And I love generating business and referring it out to my team members.
So what is the secret for you to generate business? That's every agent. This is literally, I talk to agents all day, every day, and that's just the whole names and numbers. Are you willing to share some of your?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I share all the things all the time. My pillars in my real estate business are referrals, past clients, my database. I lump that all into one. Geographic farming is huge for me. I live in a little rural town. We've got about 2,500 postal addresses. I market here significantly, social media, and agent to agent referrals. And so my prospecting methods, I am not a door knocker. I am not a cold caller. I'm not a lead buyer. I'm not any of those kind of things. So for me, it's all about what are the things that I can do consistently, right? I'm not going to get on the phone for 2 hours every day. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. I've got 2 dogs and 3 cats, and it's a busy life, right? So I don't have time to do that. So what I do takes me about an hour and 15 minutes every week. I'm writing notes, I'm sending messages, I do postcards, I do an email newsletter, of course, social media, connecting on social media. I'm adding to my database every week. That's one of my goals as part of my prospecting. I am giving a certain number of referrals every week. That's one of my goals because I know that what you put out in slices comes back in loaves. So I know that if I am focusing on my community, on giving, generosity, that's all going to come back to me. And those are the things that I do. And I've literally done this for more than a decade.
That's incredible. So you mentioned, I heard the dogs, the cats, busy life. Can you give some advice to agents who are trying to build a business while they're having like one that can support their life rather than detract? I think a lot of agents end up pouring so much into the business that they lose track of themselves and the world around them. And how have you found that balance? Any suggestions?
Yeah, for sure. I'm really passionate about this actually. It's actually part of our team agreement. It says that our mission is to help women to build their real estate businesses without sacrificing their quality of life. And because we tend to turn ourselves upside down for this business. And I learned really early on to treat real estate like a lifestyle, not as a job. And I needed to understand the importance of putting some healthy boundaries in place and being really clear on what's important. When my kids were little, I have 3 sons. They're all much older now, but when they were little, 3 under 5, and I was selling 50 to 60 homes a year, and my husband was on shift work. And so it was a lot of things. And so I had to be really crystal clear on what was important to me and what my priorities were. And so in every season of my life, and my business, I've set like little personal rules for myself, right? When my kids were little, when your kids are really little, like that bedtime bath time, that is such a it's such a special time, right? That you don't get back. And so my rule was I wasn't going to miss that bedtime bath time routine 2 nights in a row, right? I knew that in our work, we do a lot of evenings, we do a lot of weekends, but I wasn't going to miss it 2 nights in a row. So if I had a listing appointment tonight, I'm not going to schedule one the next night because I want to make sure I'm home for it. And then as they got a little bit older, and then now we're in sports and all of those different things, I was not going to miss their games. And I have not missed my things for work. Even my oldest son is a collegiate lacrosse player, and I don't miss the things for work. And they go into the calendar first, even if it means I remember when they were in Little League and I had 2 playing, I would be rushing out and maybe having an appointment in the morning before the games, and then I'm at the games, and then I'm rushing out to something else afterwards. But I knew that was what was important to me. So being really clear on what those important milestones, and they can't be everything all at once, then that's what makes the difference.
One of the phrases I was told that I love a lot is you can have everything you want in life, just not all at once. So once you like accept that and then just go after what you can have and that balance, I think I tell
Yeah.
agents that all the time. I'm like, do you realize you control your schedule? Like you literally control your schedule. Do you realize that? Like
Mhm.
you're literally
Yeah.
not to report anywhere except maybe open houses from 2 to 4. But other than that, like you
Yeah.
control your schedule. So
Yeah.
if you work 24/7, that's your
Yeah.
choice. So I love the advice that you gave and a reminder.
Yeah.
Set your calendar, put this
Yeah.
family stuff in, and then work
Yeah.
everything around it.
Yeah. There's confidence and discipline that is required to set boundaries and to hold them.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of agents that they'll say they set boundaries, but they break them all the time. And why do we do that? We tend to do that out of fear and out of lack and out of that scarcity mindset. If I don't take this lead right now, if I don't jump on it right now, if I don't go show it to them right now, then they're going to call somebody else or I'm going to lose this opportunity. And we tend to react out of that place of like, chaos and it creates chaos in our life and in our business.
I love that you talked about mindset. I do a lot of coaching on that because I've often said to agents, I think 80% of the success any agent has is between their own ears. So
So,
if you don't have that entrepreneurial mindset, which is absent of fear,
yep.
absent of scarcity, like you don't, it's that I said this to an agent when she first started, God bless her. I was
Yep.
like, okay, I said clients can smell desperation like dogs
Oh,
smell fear. I said
yep.
they know you have bills to pay. They can and they feel responsible for that because you're literally emanating this.
Emanating
Like,
it. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So what advice do you give to agents? So I know that you've mentioned because you must be running into this with different agents when you talk about leading and growing a real estate team. What challenges and opportunities are there, especially as you're working? I know you've worked with new agents and newer agents in that
Yeah.
capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the number one thing is really that prospecting habit. And prospecting will solve every problem that you have in your business. And the thing is, though, I think when we say the word prospecting, I think immediately what people think is uncomfortable stuff they don't want to do. I'm going to have to spend hours and hours doing it. And I'm going to have to cold call people and I'm going to have to door knock and I'm going to have to do all of that. And so they set themselves up to fail basically because what they're doing is they're planning I'm gonna call for 2 hours a day or I'm gonna do whatever for 3 hours a day and they're setting their prospecting plans around their ideal day. And anybody who has been in this business any time knows that there is literally no ideal day in real estate because things are constantly changing. You and I was rushing logging into this because I have a sick kid today and there is no ideal day. Instead, if you can plan your habits around prospecting around things that are authentic to you, things that make sense to you, that you enjoy doing, but also set it up in such a way that you can do it on your worst day. On my worst day, when everything is falling apart, everything is wrong, I can still do my prospecting because I've designed it in such a way. It's designed for the consistency. I'm a huge fan of books, Atomic Habits by James Clear, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. They talk about that a lot. It's the small repeatable habits and we discount that. I think, especially we get into the business and people think, oh, I've got to do this big grand gesture in order to have a long term sustainable business. And that's not true. You need the small, repeatable effort over and over again. And it gets you that momentum and it keeps the momentum going.
Give an example of one thing that you've done every single day to prospect.
It's showing up in my business, specifically with social media. I agent to agent referrals is one of my pillars, and I show up in my Empowering Women in Real Estate group literally every single day, either posting stories, having things for other agents in the group to connect. That is, I'm staying present and top of mind within one of the pillars of my business, which is connecting with other agents. And a ton of our business is referrals from other agents. And so it's just that consistent showing up. It's not hard for me. I can show up in there once a day, and it's just my habit.
That's fantastic. Okay, so how's your role shifted as a leader? You talked a bit about it, but what are some of those impactful lessons you've learned in that
Yeah.
shift?
Yeah. Our team has changed a lot over the last 10 years. We started out as a really typical real estate team, the local, very local team. And now our team is really expanding nationally. We have agents in 16 different states and it's been an evolution, which I think is a sign of health in any business because things are constantly shifting and changing. And I think the thing that I have learned the most as a leader, and this really applies whether you're a team leader or whether you're a solo agent, is that willingness to be open and to change. Because I think most of us are not. We tend to hold on to what makes us comfortable and we ignore the fact that the world is constantly changing around us. And the basics of what we do in our industry are always the same, right? We need to provide stellar customer service. We need to understand the contract. We need to be a great negotiator. We need to be cognizant of deadlines. There's a lot of those things, and those haven't changed in the 2+ decades that I've been in the business. But what does change is marketing. What does change is how we find our clients, how we connect with our clients. In some ways, it's so much easier now than it was when I started. Social media was not a thing. Facebook and Instagram literally did not exist. And I wish they had, because the things that we're able to do through those mediums is so different now than ever what it used to be. So I think just the willingness to be open-minded and to change, not to be afraid to tweak things. I think we want to be perfect and we want our business to look perfect. And we had this conversation at our team meeting earlier this week about overthinking. And I think a lot of us are constantly overthinking in our businesses. And I have this idea for this marketing strategy, but I don't quite have it right yet. You just got to put it out there and then you just have to tweak as you go. And that's the best way to learn. And that's what we've done with our team. Over the years, our model has shifted, our services have shifted, our compensation plans have shifted, where we serve agents has shifted. And that's just part of growth.
I love the overthinking. One of the favorite things that I always talk about is failing forward. You
Yeah.
have to embrace failure. And
Yeah.
once failure becomes a friend,
Yeah.
fear's gone because you're
Yeah.
just like, I'm just gonna just do it because
Yeah.
you learn in the doing.
Yes,
And
that's right.
so many people are so afraid to just start that they
Yep.
don't actually learn anything because they won't jump into that.
That's
I would say that's probably one of your secrets to success over all these years. Do you have
yeah.
any other secrets to success? Things that have kept you going
Yeah.
for 2 decades? Because okay, so let's be honest, you must have
Yeah.
went through the fall,
Oh
right?
yeah.
The
Yes. The crash.
so
The crash.
so you must have some strategies because I would say 70% of agents last year sold one house.
Yep.
So we're not in a crash, but agents might feel like we're in a crisis. What would be some of the things to sustain a career in?
Yeah, so it's a couple of different things that I've really learned. One of them is the consistency, right? Consistently showing up in your business, consistently prospecting. Consistency is the key to literally everything that we do. And that is one of the things I have consistently. When the market was terrible, when the market crashed, there was a period of time where in my little rural market, the average sales on market was literally a year. And have always worked mostly as a listing specialist, and that's a really long time to have a listing. And I learned the benefits of consistently showing up. I learned bad markets make good agents. And so I learned a lot of things when the market was bad that have helped me when the market is good. And so really that consistency, I think, is one of the things. Being around the right people is another one. And the right people for you will often change. I have learned that in my business. And there's what is the saying? Like, you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And so if I am only spending time with people that are complaining constantly about the market, that aren't showing up, are not, whether it's present on social media or showing up in their business in any certain way, then that's going to impact my business too. But if I am surrounding myself by people who are positive, that are taking action, that are focused forward, then I know that I'm going to be in that category as well. And so making sure that I'm around those right people has really been a huge key for me. And then my third thing that I'll say is connecting the dots. In our industry, in our business, there's all sorts of sales statistics that we've all heard. People need to see you, what is it, like 17 times before they make a purchasing or a buying decision, or they reach out. And that's a lot of postcards, and that's a lot of phone calls, and that's a lot of, but when you can connect the dots, right? And I love doing this through my geographic farm and through my community. They get my email newsletter, and then they see my sign on a listing, and then they're getting my postcard in their mailbox, and then they're seeing me in their social media feed. And it's a connecting of the dots. When I'm meeting with someone, it's sending that follow-up note. It's these little tiny things that someone might look at and say, that's not going to get you any business. But I'm here 23 years later, and our team is on our countdown to 2 billion in real estate sold over the past 10 years. And it all comes from those little things. And so don't discount that.
That's incredible. Okay, so I want to talk about you wrote a book.
I did write a book. Yes.
That is an accomplishment.
Thank you.
Takes
Thank you.
time to do that. Share, if you would, share some of the insights. Share about this book.
Oh man. So I've always wanted to write a book and it had been on my list, my goal list for years and years. Actually, one of my friends, again talking about the circle, one of my friends put it on my list for me years ago. And so finally I did that last year. And what I decided to do with this book is I've written, as I mentioned, in our Empowering Women in Real Estate community, literally 5 to 7 days a week for now almost 11 years. And these are stories that I'm writing. These are lessons that I'm writing. These are things about experiences I've had or my team members I've had or other agents that I've been in community with have had. And I'm sharing those and I'm sharing those lessons. And so what I did last year, my book launched on November 11th, is I took a collection of those stories over basically 10 years and compiled them into my book. It's called Empowering Women in Real Estate. It's a collection of short stories, and they're in chronological order. So it really is like the evolution of a woman in business, a mom, the real estate industry as a whole, the market. And I'm really proud to have that out in the world.
You should be. Like, and I think too, sometimes, so I always tell agents, I like what you mentioned about the people that you're around and look at the facts. So something I actually, just going back to that really quick, I told people to stop watching the news. I said,
Mm,
you need to understand what's happening in the market. Like, you need to be aware, but when you become consumed as you can, because it's doom and gloom, it affects your business, right? So I'm just like, even during the political election, I said, guys, it's happening, but that's over
yeah.
there, right? Until it lands in
Mhm.
your community, like you talked, until it lands in your community to affect your day-to-day life, leave it where it is. It's over
Mhm.
there. I love that you mentioned that. And I think these stories, this book, I always tell people it's the stories that inspire you to what's possible. Because you can't envision success if some people can't see success until they've seen others' success and then they can
Yes.
see it for themselves. And I'm imagining that's part of what you did with this book.
Yeah, it is. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I think there tends to be two perspectives that people have. And I think unfortunately this seems to impact women more than it does men. And that is when they see someone doing something good, right? Something great, something that they aspire to. There is a percentage of people that look at that and go, she must have cheated, she didn't do something fairly. Like they take exception to the fact that they see it as that again, it's that scarcity mindset. If she's done that, then I'm not going to be able to. And then there's another group of people, which is the people that I like to surround myself with, which look at what someone else has done and says, gosh, if she has done that, then that means I can do that. And so I think when you can take a step back for a minute and approach learning, especially in our industry, in that way, it really does change the game for you.
You've actually highlighted something I talk a lot about, which is the creative mindset or the competitive. You can only exist on one. You cannot be both competitive and creative. A competitor is going to think, like you said, the first group, she cheated, she like, because you're in competition. She didn't get there, or if she got there, I can't get there. It's a competition. A creative is going to believe that there's enough for everybody. They're going to create new ways. Like, I choose the creative mindset versus a competitive. And in agency, there's definitely one or the two. Anyone listening, decide where you fall because your business will reflect which one of those camps you sit in. But I know that you mentioned women specifically, and I'm just interested on how you see that. Like, why are women more like that?
I don't know why we're more like that. I don't know if it's just, I think we're programmed to think a lot of different things. We have to be the nice girl, we have to be the this, we have to be that. And there's just this kind of spirit of competition amongst women that isn't always healthy. And anyone that I know that has reached a certain level of success in this business or any other, unfortunately, there is a ceiling in what people around you will accept. And there gets where they cheer for you to a certain point. And then at a certain point, seeing you be so successful, I think what it does a lot of times is it reminds them of maybe what they're not doing or what they're not trying and what they're afraid to do. And so it causes this turmoil. And I guess that's when you know that you're really being successful is when you have the haters. Because that seems to be like when they come out, and that's unfortunate.
The haters, but see, the haters' job is to hate.
Yeah.
Gotta let them. All right,
Let the
let's
haters hate.
wrap
Yeah.
this amazing podcast up. What piece of advice could you give to other women who are listening? So we have definitely focused on the female side of our industry, which is great because I think us scaling into positions of this are important. But if you could give a piece of advice, what would it be for them to build a sustainable career?
Yeah, it's two things. It's one, being very clear about what that looks like for you in where you are. My vision for my business and my career right now is different than it was 5 years and 10 years and 20 years ago. And so being really clear on where you are, and then having consistent habits around supporting growing in that way for where you are. I don't know any other way to do it than other than that.
I think clarity and consistency. Somebody needs to make a t-shirt
Yeah.
and then put platinum on the back of it. Because Karen, if you want to find her website is goplatinumgroup.com, and her Instagram is at karen.w.cooper, which I'm going to follow all your things. And then the Facebook group she's talked about, I think you just go onto Facebook and probably look up Empowering Women in Real Estate, which I will do at the end of this call, and join in. But yeah, and then definitely go back, where your book, Amazon, right? Everywhere.
Yep, you can get it on Amazon. You can also purchase it directly from me through my Instagram. It's linked on my profile. Our community on Facebook is Empowering Women in Real Estate. My website is empoweringwomeninrealestate.com. So yeah, I'm happy to connect.
Oh my gosh, Karen, thank you so much for joining. I am so happy to know you. We live so close. So I have another referral person up in Nova. So yeah, thank you for joining us on the show. I hope you have a really great rest of the day. Thank you to everyone who listened. Take care. That's it for this episode of Platinum Agent Podcast. If you're ready to take your business beyond gold and into platinum, let's connect. Reach out to me at this email, Renee@ReneeRuthOfficial.com, and we'll make something happen. Don't forget, hit subscribe because Joshua and I will be back with more insights. Until then, go platinum.